Eritrea.
What does that got to do with Jesus?
I'll tell you. Okay. You mentioned a point that Prophet married at 9 years old. I am asking Daniel, where does he come from? He doesn't want to tell me. Why? Why do you think? Because he's from
I want to
Africa.
stick with the topic.
Because Daniel is from
I want to
Africa.
be honest and stick with the topic.
If we argue,
You jumped. That's why I talked about it.
Daniel, you raised a point. I want to address it. I want to show your audiences that any single rubbish you throw at us can be responded to.
Okay, respond to the jizya.
And I want to show you. I want to show you
The reason why
audiences.
you're jumping on that is because you don't have anything to say.
I want to show you
on what Muhammad said.
I want to show.
You don't have anything to say.
I want to show you
That's why.
I want to show you audiences that you are absolutely dishonest about your own history, about your own ancestors. I challenge.
Is under the shade of my spear.
Again,
and he who disobeys my
Daniel,
orders will be humiliated by paying the jizya. Sahih al-Bukhari, book 55, chapter 88.
Okay.
Muhammad said this. Show me my dishonesty in that.
How do you humiliate a Jewish prime minister?
Ask Muhammad that.
You answer my question.
Ask Muhammad.
No,
Don't ask me.
Can you answer me?
Ask Muhammad.
Okay.
Ask Sahih al-Bukhari. Don't ask me.
Let's assume what Muhammad. Let's assume what Muhammad said is true.
I don't know.
What happened in
You want
Spain?
to assume what Muhammad.
Okay,
You want to assume what Muhammad said is true.
Sorry.
It's not true.
I don't know.
Okay.
You want to assume
You don't know.
this is true.
Okay, let me explain. In Islamic Spain, Al-Andalus, you know Muslims governed Spain for nearly 7 centuries.
I've heard of that.
Yes, for the first 3 centuries of Muslim rule, Muslims governed as an Umayyad empire. For 3 centuries, Muslims governed as an empire, the Umayyads. And throughout, the Islamic law was applied fully. In Spain, there were 2 Jewish prime ministers in this period in Spain, right? One was Hasdai ibn Shaprut.
Battery's going.
Hasdai ibn Shaprut, Jewish man.
Battery's dying.
Okay, I know it's dying.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? Because
Okay.
you're not answering the
Don't worry.
question.
Well, you can take it from our footage.
You're not answering the question.
No, you can
though.
take it our footage.
Answer the question.
Okay, I'm
I don't
answering
want
the
lecture.
The Muslims,
Answer the
the
question.
Muslims paying the zakat.
Answer the question.
And the non-Muslim paying the jizya. That's
Yes.
What's the purpose of
It's a
jizya?
tax. It's a tax. He's
the purpose?
he's claiming.
building the
No,
streets,
he's claiming.
What did Muhammad say? What did Muhammad say about jizya?
We are paying
Humiliation.
We are paying the
He
tax.
said humiliation. That's why.
Not ordinary.
No. So Muhammad
I
got it wrong.
was making.
Muhammad got it wrong.
We had a long discussion on this.
No.
Check.
Muhammad got it wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Now.
I don't know what to do.
Now watch this.
We're going around and around.
They are free to choose their
No, check. Let me.
This is the finish off. This is the finish off.
Okay. I'm summarizing.
Well, you can't debate this.
With regards to those reports where the prophet said jizya is for this humiliation, whatever. First of all, I'm not gonna believe that because I don't believe your translations. Pull it out in Arabic.
Sahih al-Bukhari.
I don't.
I'm giving you the
Pull it
small
out in
exam.
Arabic.
Numbers and
What's
chapters.
the hadith number?
I'm giving you.
What's the hadith number?
Sahih al-Bukhari, book 55, chapter 88.
Okay.
Take it out.
Bukhari.
Yeah, this is authentic.
Bukhari.
Sahih.
Wait.
is authentic.
Book 58.
Book 55,
Book 55.
chapter 88.
Why we are paying?
And hadith number. Hadith number. Yes, Sheikh. Wait. Hadith number.
No,
hadith-
you take it out on that one.
I want the idea to reach to him. He wants to go.
When you do that, it will come up
I'm
for you.
giving him the
Take it
point
out.
directly.
Hadith number.
It doesn't say it.
Hadith number.
No, that doesn't
So
say
he
it.
doesn't have the hadith number.
No,
He
hey,
doesn't.
Abdul,
Oh, wait.
Do you know Sahih al-Bukhari has different numbering systems?
Yes.
Do you know that?
Give me a hadith. Give me
One
a.
of the numbering system is this one.
Give me a hadith number.
There's
One.
no hadith number
Give
on
me
this one.
any number.
But when you
Any
take
number.
it out, oh my
Every
God.
hadith
Just
has
take it out, man.
Take what out?
Book 55, chapter
I couldn't
88.
find it. I make search for what you said. I couldn't find it in that.
You couldn't what?
I couldn't find the number.
What was the number I gave?
88, 55.
55, 88,
Yeah.
not 88, 55.
55, 88.
let's say-
Search for it.
Okay, here it is. Which one? This is book 88. Okay.
That's apostates.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Before you get to-
put
Can you go
chapter.
back? Can you
I
go
put
back? Can you go back?
chapter.
Okay, go.
Book 55, chapter 88.
See here, I couldn't find it. But anyway, it's about.
Wait. I need Arabic. I need Arabic. I don't need English.
We are not denying.
You don't need English.
It's already in the.
Yes, we're not denying it. We're not denying it. But what we're denying.
Why are you taking it out? This guy. Why are you taking
I
it
want
out?
the Arabic. I want the Arabic. I want the Arabic. Until you have the Arabic, don't talk to me.
that's right.
Yeah, don't
Because
talk
there are
to me
many
because
people
we don't
lying.
want
Can't answer, that's
we don't
why.
want your spins on our hadith.
can't answer.
The point is, even if it's true, let's say even if the hadith says that my Hazda ibn Shaprut was the prime minister of Spain in the 10th century, then Samuel Hanagit was the prime minister in Granada of Spain, Jewish man. So if Daniel is correct in his understanding that every single Jew, every single Christian is to be humiliated, then there would be humiliation throughout the Islamic history. The Jews would never find a refuge with the Muslims. The Christians would never find a refuge
what
with the
you're telling
Muslims.
me is that- you're telling me
What I'm telling you is the
All
truth.
the Muslims disobeyed Muhammad.
Yes.
What you're saying to me?
By your understanding, yes.
But
By your
Muhammad
understanding,
said-
yes.
Muhammad
Yes.
said it's
By
for
your
humiliation.
understanding, yes.
Your logic doesn't make sense.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay. I'll ask a question. Now watch.
Stop talking.
Now watch what happens. My response to this point. I'm finishing. My response to this point is, we know the Christians are burning witches alive. We know the Christians throughout. It is not.
Crusaders.
You see. Now you're getting angry. There's a reason. Christians were killing the Christians throughout.
Why are you moving?
I'm countering your argument.
No, you're not.
Did the Muslims?
We Christians are not commanded to fight anyone.
I'm finishing right
We're
now.
not commanded to fight anyone.
I am finishing right now.
We're to love our enemies.
Since when did you become so liberal? The question.
That's our commandment.
Daniel has said something beautiful.
That's in Matthew chapter 5.
Daniel.
I'll give you reference after reference.
Okay.
But you just talk without reference.
Okay, Daniel, can you deal with the reference in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus said, "Bring my enemies in front of me and kill them"?
What chapter is that?
19:27.
What chapter is that?
Chapter 19, verse 27 of Gospel of Luke.
Can you read it from
Are you
verse
listening?
27?
Not have a debate. Wait.
Wait.
Can you ask Daniel
Can you take
to
it out?
respond? Can you ask?
Can you take it out from verse 11?
I've given you the reference.
Verse 11 to 27. Read it.
No, read it.
I'll read it.
So what's that? What's that got to do?
Read it.
What's that got to do in one verse?
What? I'm giving you the context.
Thank you. He wants to give the context.
So I am
He
giving
wants
you
to give the
context.
context.
So I'm not giving you content with your Islamic sources?
No, you're not.
So
You're a
I'm giving you
liar.
tafsir,
You're a liar.
I'm giving you hadith. I'm giving you Quran. That's what you're saying.
Listen.
You know what? Let the audience decide on that.
Let the audience decide. So the bottom line is, I'm summarizing. I'm summarizing, Saeed. Here is an example. Here's an example, ladies and gentlemen. Summarize there on the side. Oh, we can move on the side, no problem. To be courteous to Christians, we'll move on the side, no problem. Okay, yeah, no problem. Thank you. But this is clear. This is clear that Christian missionaries are not only ignorant, they are dishonest. They are dishonest. When you give them the context, they don't want to know. And when you corner them with one of the arguments,
Sahih al-Bukhari.
okay, can you
55:88.
before you read Sahih al-Bukhari, I have a request. Can you now tell us why did Jesus say, "Bring my enemies in front of me and kill them"?
Jesus never said that about him. It was a parable about a servant
Thank
and a
you.
master.
Thank you.
It's got nothing to
What
do with
was
it.
the purpose of the parable?
The parable explains itself right
No,
there.
okay,
So
what?
don't
It explains.
divert.
It
Don't
explains.
divert.
Who is the king?
Sahih
Who is the king?
al-Bukhari.
In the parable, who's the king?
55.
Who was the king in the parable?
Narrated.
So
Was Jesus the king in the
Jesus in the parable, Jesus is talking about himself. That those of my enemies who do not believe in me, bring them hither and kill them. These Christians have a new 20th century, 21st century spin on it. Previously, the Christian history is full of massacres, full of indiscriminate killing of Jews, crusades of Muslims as well, right? And those were very illiberal ages. Now with the rise of liberalism, in the 19th century onwards, the Christians have become very liberal. They have adopted this new liberal secular view of Christianity, which is a pacifist view of Christianity. You understand? Previously, in the 19th century, Christians were not talking like this, that we are complete pacifists. We don't believe in violence. No, it wasn't like that. Christians did believe in violence, and they perpetuated violence throughout the planet, right? What about Muslims? Did Muslims do violence? Yes, of course. When they were attacked. In some cases, when they were not attacked. Okay? Muslim empire has many bad examples we can give. But what was the norm? What was the Muslim policy towards Jews and Christians? It is from history we learn that 90% of world's Jews, 90% of the world's Jewish population lived under the protection of Islam for 1,000 years. The question is why? Why would Jews choose Muslims over Christians? Bernard Lewis answers the question. He goes, because Jews were treated far better in the Muslim lands than they were in the Christian lands. In the Christian lands, Jews were being accused of dicide. What is dicide? Dicide is killing of God, the murder of God. Because Jews were accused of killing Jesus Christ. Who is Jesus Christ? He's God. For that reason, throughout the Middle Ages, the Jewish people were persecuted. There were laws imposed against them. Their books were burnt. Their libraries were burnt. They were exiled, in some cases from countries. In the 13th century, King Edward I exiled the entire Jewish population. Soon after, King Philip of France exiled the entire Jewish population. The question is, where did they go? They went to the Muslim lands in Spain. And when the Catholics took Spain in 1490s, or when the process of Reconquista started, when the Catholics started to come from the north, taking land from the Muslims in Spain, the Jews kept moving downwards. They kept moving southwards with the Muslims. And then when the entire peninsula was occupied by King Ferdinand and Isabella in the late 15th century, those Jews who could migrate, they migrated to Morocco. And those who could not, in the next century, throughout the 16th century, there was a process of Christianization. The Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition kicked in, and this Inquisition forced the Muslims, who were known as Moriscos, and the Jews. They were forced to accept either die or accept Christianity. And that's why you do not find any Muslims from that period in Spain. The Muslims we have today in Spain, they are immigrants. They came into Spain in the 20th century. Before the 20th century, no sign of Muslims. Completely wiped out, right? Did the Muslims do this to any race, any people, any religion? Even in the most hostile of places, Muslims did not adopt a genocidal policy. And in the complete history of Islam and Muslims, only one example keeps coming up. Which one? Guess which one? Of genocide. Armenian genocide. Armenian genocide in the early 20th century, close to the First World War, right? Why that? What happened to the history of Islam from the year 1 to the year 1300? Nothing. Ask them to bring out a genocide. What is a genocide? A systematic wiping out of a people, either due to their race or religion. You will not find an example in the Muslim chronicles of that. If you do, you will see that the Muslims were the first victims. What examples come up? Timur the Lame, also known as Timur the Lame. In the 14th century, he wreaked havoc. He killed more Muslims than he killed anyone else. Who did he attack? Timur. He conquered Central Asia, Muslim. He conquered Syria, Muslim. He came to Delhi in India, Muslims governing Delhi. So even the genocides, the victims of the Muslims. So the point is, Muslims did not have this genocidal policy like some of these Christian missionaries like to claim, and when they are confronted with evidence, they have nothing to say. They know they're exposed, they're liars. These people are out here to lie to the audiences, and I feel sorry for the audiences, right? That's why we are here. so that the picture is clear and people can know the truth. So Islam never had this policy of absolutely humiliating Christians and Jews. There's no doubt there were restrictions on Jews and Christians. But they had the businesses, they had the churches, they had the bishops. We have testimonies throughout the world, throughout the history, where Jews and Christians are praising Muslims and Islam. One example very quickly. An Israeli, we can debate now if you want. No, you need to prepare.
I'm prepared.
You need to prepare so that you can bring up some lies. Are you ready now?
No, we need to go.
10 minutes.
Time is
10 minutes. 10 minutes. On the watch. 10 minutes. I'll finish you in 10 minutes. I'll finish you in 10 minutes.
Okay, let's debate next week.
No.
You don't want to debate next week?
No, I don't want to debate you again. Because I believe you're disingenuous. I believe you're liars.
Don't run away.
Yeah. If you want to discuss now, you have the time in front of our cameras. It's Muslim audience. Come, you can confuse the Muslim. Why not now? Why not now?
Print out some lies. Stop running.
Yes, you need to print out some lies. Yeah.
Don't run.
Yeah.
Do some homework.
Yes, go and do some homework and see that your entire ancestors were also doing the same thing. So the point is, ladies and gentlemen, Muslims had this policy of tolerance and coexistence to an extent that some of the Spanish historians who are Spanish Arabists, they state that there was a period of convivencia throughout the Muslim period in Spain. Convivencia simply means coexistence, and where Jews, Muslims and Christians lived together side by side without any persecution. Jews flourished throughout the Middle East. And even in India, the Hindus, what happened to them? What happened to them? Did Muslims have a genocidal policy there? No. Hindus cannot be charged jizya according to most Islamic schools. What happened to the Hindus? During the time of Aurangzeb, the most Islamic king in India, the most Islamic king possibly in the history of India, Aurangzeb, for 50 years, he employed more Hindus into the state apparatus than all the Mughal kings put together. Some of his top generals were Hindus. Some of his top administrators, his treasurer was a Hindu. Where's the humiliation? And he was a very strong Muslim king. He was so Muslim that the largest collection of fatwa on the Hanafi school was compiled by his orders. Fatwa Alamgiri, also known as Fatwa Hindiya.
My father's business partners, they were Hindus.
Yes. So Sikhs, Hindus and Christians and Jews flourished throughout the Muslim lands.
And how long did we...
And this new rhetoric, this new Islam-hating, Islamophobic rhetoric that Muslims persecuted or dismantled the Jewish and Christian...
How long we ruled India for? How long?
Muslims ruled India close to eight centuries.
So that was long enough to do a genocide if we wanted.
Yes. There were wars.
8 centuries.
8 centuries. There were wars. There were periods of hostility, but never did the Muslim kings ever say, go and kill every single Hindu woman, man or child in the vicinity. No, you will not find an example of that. No. That happened with other people. That happened with other nations, including the British. When British were in Afghanistan, when they retaliated to a reaction of the Afghans to the British occupation, when British occupied in the mid-19th century, when they occupied Afghanistan against the wishes of the Afghani people, the Afghans fought back and expelled the British. There was indeed a disturbing massacre of the British army at the hands of the Afghans. When the British came back to avenge that massacre, they killed men, women and children indiscriminately, even animals. Even the trees were cut by the British to destroy the crops. Some trees were centuries old. Some trees were centuries old and British systematically destroyed them. Muslims are not allowed to do that. Muslims are not allowed to do that by any standard or in any place or in any time. So that's it. That's my summary. Thank you so much for listening. My voice is gone. Jazakumullah khairan walhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Who's mic is? Yeah. I think that was...
Introducing Billboard Pal, the mobile billboard. With your Billboard Pal, you can advertise anywhere, anytime. Just find your target audience and make unlimited connections. Billboard Pal makes advertising fun and affordable. Stand out from the crowd. Your future customers are ready to meet you.
كتاب الله دستوري كتاب الله دستوري وخير الخلق أسوتنا
بسنته